Making Chicken Salad this week is brought to you by 3 Count Pro Wrestling Academy. Are you in Brisbane and thought about learning to be a wrestler? Well, here's your chance. 3 Count Pro Wrestling Academy are based out of Beenleigh in Queensland, and they're committed to teaching the best, safest way to learn the art of professional wrestling. Hit up their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or email admin@3countfitness.com now to register your interest, and we thank them so much for supporting the show.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
There's gonna be some trouble tonight, a very royal rumble, that's right. We'll step into the ring, we'll reach an understanding, when the smoke is clear, the last man standing.
Hello and welcome to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia podcast, where we talk about everything going on in the world of international wrestling. I was holding on to a chair when it was pulled out from under the ring, so I guess I'm here now, Lachlan Albert, and I am joined by the man who won't allow me to let go, Todd Eastman. Todd, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I want you to let go. Constantly want you to let go. Just let it go.
We'll let it go. We've got a lot to cover this week. There has been, well, we don't have a lot to cover, but we have 2 massive shows that we've got to cover. So let's jump right. Oh, before we do jump right in, I want to give a shout out to Steve, who's going to be on this episode. He's had an absolutely huge day, so he's not here today. He's busy with other stuff. Shout out to him, all the regular stuff. So much love there. But let's get into it. It was Royal Rumble yesterday. And there's news. So let's go top of the card to bottom of the start of the card to the end of the card. First off, started with the Universal Championship match. Seth freaking Rollins, Roman Reigns. Seth wins by DQ. The arc of the match is Roman comes out, Tribal Chief, Shield music hits. Rollins comes out of the crowd in the old Shield gear. They go back and forth. They do this amazing storytelling where, like, spoiler alert, I'm calling it amazing already. You know what I think of the match. All of the near falls are the different stages of their career. So Rollins starts by doing the stomp, and then he does the pedigree, and it just like evolves as their careers did. Finishes with Reigns putting a headlock choke guillotine, submission on guillotine on Rollins. Rollins gets his hand on the rope and Reigns just refuses to let go. Ref counts to 5, calls the DQ finish. Referee is begging Reigns to let go, and Reigns starts yelling, "He won't allow me to let go."
Yeah, I like that. That bit I did like.
Do they get Shakespeare in to write the Royal Rumble? What was with that? I thought this match was absolutely excellent. We know that when it comes to wrestling, I'm a wanky storytelling lover, and that's what this match was. It was, let's put way too much thought into a wrestling match, and I love that. I love a match that is spot for spot, really considered, and then executed great. You know, when someone does a Phoenix splash and lands on their feet and rolls out of it, that's performance. Reigns has the Hoss act down. He looks so devastating when he hits the big moves. Some of those spears were brutal. I thought this match was great start to finish. What did you think?
Yeah, agree. Except for I wasn't a massive fan of the finish, and I think they overdid the post-match, the beatdown with the chair. I think they overdid that a bit. If anything, like, I would have had the finish be something happen, like, say the Usos music plays and thing turns, like Seth turns to the thing to watch that, and that's when he gets hit by the chair, and that be the DQ. Because that, to me, they did it, and it's basically a carbon copy of what happened with the Shield thing. They could have done that as part of the storytelling for the thing. Like I said, I like the touch of he won't let me let go. I want to let go. I like that part. I just think, like, you heard the crowd shat on that finish. They love the match. The match was amazing. They just shat on the finish because it was just a DQ, and WWE are renowned for just DQing finishes all the time. And it's something that they need. I think I even tweeted, they need a Pat Patterson again. They need some guy that can think of a really good finish, because it seems that they don't have that anymore.
Yeah, but at the same time, Roman needs an opponent for Fastlane before he takes on the winner of the Rumble at Mania, right? So Seth still has a reason to challenge Roman at Fastlane because he didn't lose, he won by DQ. So we get the rematch there, Roman wins, and then we move on to Mania.
I mean, just the little touches of like getting hit by the spear, and then he goes to do the fist thing and is laughing while he does it, like just playing with his mind. The whole idea of the music and then him coming through the crowd in the old Shield gear is just like that had me sitting up at the start of the show. I was like, holy, they are doing some shit different. I like this.
I literally was like, all right, Royal Rumble's starting. I'm on my phone. I'm getting some food ready. And then that music hit and I just put everything down and I sat up straight and I watched. And I think you'll agree with me here. That was definitely the best bit of the show. It was that match.
There were like, it's very rare to say this, but the 3 championship matches were the best 3 things on that show. I think.
Yeah, they really were. I think this is definitely the highlight of the show for me. It's not a question. But yeah, let's go on, because I personally think that the card just goes down as it goes on. Which kind of, at least I was deflating as it went on. So the match after this is the Women's Royal Rumble. And I just want to point out before we move on that I called both Rumbles. I put a post on Facebook right before the Royal Rumble started, and what I said was, because it's WWE, I'm exclusively predicting things that I hate. And then I called both Rumble winners. So Women's Rumble, a couple of surprises. I think maybe the most notable was, or the most interesting, I guess, was an Ivory return, doing the right to censor gimmick. That was a lot of fun. But headline was Ronda Rousey.
60. She's 60.
She's 60. And she looks exactly the way she did in 2002.
But when I read that, somebody, I think it was Nick Galea, put it on Twitter that she's 60. And I was like, well, that does explain why Rhea was
very gentle.
She was very gentle with her. And like, I can understand it now. And that's not me being like, because Sting is like 63 and still doing all this shit. But I can understand why someone who she would hold her in high regard. So she would have looked after her as much as she could.
And also, I don't think Ivory's been getting in the ring, ready to take a lot of bumps.
True.
So I think that, that was nice and safe. But yeah, the winner was a returning Ronda Rousey. So she'll be going to WrestleMania. She won by eliminating Charlotte Flair last, who is the SmackDown Women's Champion. So it seems like we may be looking at her challenging Charlotte for the title. I don't care. Like I wouldn't pretend that I care. I don't.
Look, Ronda Rousey moves tickets. She does.
She does.
And when you've got a 2-night thing at Dallas Stadium, you're going to have to try and move some tickets. So of course you're going to put it back in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they could have come up with a different way of doing it than her just returning and winning the Rumble, but obviously that was the easiest way to go, I guess.
Definitely. I think they could have done something other than having pyro that melted the WrestleMania sign and caused a bunch of fans below the sign to be evacuated. So that's also something that happened here. It wasn't long ago that they announced they were cutting back on pyro. And I wonder if, there's been more and there's been less and there's been more. It feels like really bad preparation on WWE's part that they had to evacuate a whole section of crowd because the WrestleMania sign was melting onto them. But at the same time, pyro's unpredictable.
Yeah. I think they handled this as good as they possibly could, because they knew at the end of the show they were going to have to do it again because you couldn't just not do it. So they evacuated them all beforehand.
Yep.
So we know we're going to have to do this and it's probably going to catch fire again. So let's get everyone out of the way.
Exactly. Do you want to call anything else out from the Women's Rumble match?
Kelly is still terrible. I don't care what anyone says. She's still terrible. Summer Rae seemed to have some real heat. Like she seemed to be really angry.
She got in there.
Yeah, Sarah Logan was good to see. That was a surprise
Yeah.
that no one knew about.
A genuine surprise.
Yeah, a genuine surprise, especially with her and Liv. That was a good little thing. I hope if this is just a one-off for Sarah, that's cool. But I hope this doesn't in some way derail what Liv has been building up to over the last. Because I would hate this. As much as I know they're friends and I would just hate to see that.
And Liv had a great performance where she looked like a genuine competitor.
Yeah. The Molly Holly bit with Nikki Ash as well. I actually really like that.
I hope that this goes somewhere because I don't know what the plan with a heel Nikki Ash is. If the face that she works against is Mighty Molly, I'm very into it.
Yeah, that would be cool. But her and Rhea haven't really finished their thing.
That's going to be the long term. Again, like we need to do things at Fastlane. I think it'd be really cool to get a Mighty Molly match at Fastlane. We'll see. For me, the highlight of this Rumble was Sonya Deville. She, in my eyes, can do very little wrong. She is continuing this feud with Naomi, and the way it happened here was that she came out earlier in the match and sat down at the announce desk, didn't get in the ring, said, I'm going to get in the ring when I want. I've got the jacket on. I'm an official. Then Cameron came out, former tag team partner of Naomi, and Sonya went, oh, this is Naomi's friend. And if something happened to Cameron, that would hurt Naomi, and got in there and beat the tar out of her and eliminated her. I thought that was superb. Then Naomi came out, eliminated her, and then she got back by eliminating Naomi from the outside.
Yeah.
Right.
I did like that because it was that whole thing of like, oh, they're going to do the Kofi spot, blah, 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 and then just have her ruin it. That was really good. Like the Women's Rumble was actually good. Aside from who won the thing, and let's face it, that was just a piece of business they were going to do. The actual meat of the match wasn't too bad. I don't know what people were expecting.
I agree. And there were a few people who I thought looked really good, even if they weren't in it for very long. Shayna Basler looked like a machine coming out at number 30.
I keep forgetting, like I even tweeted, like you keep forgetting they have a beast like Shayna Basler on their roster because she just doesn't get used. And they even, I love the fact that they sort of teased her and Ronda but never did anything with it because that's something that can still be used down the line quite easily and with some good results. Because like Shayna can wrestle rings around Ronda. Ronda is name only. Ronda cannot, as much as I like the fact that she's an attraction and all that, she can't wrestle. She cannot.
Thank you for saying it because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Everyone insists that Ronda is actually a good wrestler, and she's not. For someone who is not a professional wrestler, is coming from, effectively being a celebrity. Like, yes, she was in combat sports and she did a little bit of wrestling training. She's better than, Johnny Knoxville, right? But yeah, I was surprised we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't make her a good wrestler.
No, I'm completely on with like she does judo moves, which is something that she's very well practiced in, and throws those punches. And that's about it. That's the bulk of her, and the armbar, and that's the bulk of her.
The armbar's good. Some of those punches did not look impactful.
No, because she probably hasn't held a punch back in God knows how long.
Yeah, exactly.
So she went a little bit extra light. And
I don't know. My girlfriend actually laughed in the background when I mentioned those punches. So there you go. There's how we're feeling about Ronda's punches. So anyway, Ronda's going to WrestleMania. After that, we had the Raw Women's Championship match of Becky Lynch versus Dewdrop. I'm on record as being a big fan of both of these women. I thought that, unfortunately, going into this match, I felt like there was no way that Dewdrop won. Like, I couldn't see the possibility, and not having that question made the match a lot less interesting. But I thought it was a really good match. It was a really good use of Dewdrop as a monster, and the fact that it took a manhandle slam from the second rope to put her down from Becky, I thought made Becky look like a strong champ. It made Dewdrop look really strong in defeat and like a potential threat for the future. It was a good match.
Yeah, it was a really good match. It was a sleeper. I don't think people expected it to be good just because of her name, Dewdrop. They forget that she's got the pedigree that she has. Yeah, the pedigree that she has and the worker she is. But a lot of people forget that. But I love the psychology in the match that she was the bigger girl and Becky just can't do the normal stuff that she could do on other people. It just doesn't happen because this chick is too big. She's too muscled. She has too much strength. I think that at the start she kept trying to go back, like go behind her every time, and Dewdrop was just throwing her off. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I liked it. I love the psychology of that match. I thought it was really, really good. And like you said,
it's great when a match doesn't feel like every other match.
Yeah.
And it felt like this was unique.
Yeah. And like you said, it wasn't just the normal finish and then the pin. Like she had to do something a little extra, like off the second to get the pins, which is good. Like I said, the championship matches in this were the best matches on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, the dream match, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. So here's what I remember from the start of this match. I got up and went to the bathroom. I put some sausages in the air fryer, little cheese Kranskis. They were absolutely delicious. Made a couple of drinks. I'm being serious here. Like
the most smart commentary I think I've ever heard in my life.
I genuinely don't care.
I have the power to mute you, and I should use it.
I want to care. I really do. And I thought, and I spoke to you after we talked about this last time, where I said, look, I think I was probably exaggerating. I want to see the Paul Heyman stuff. Bobby, I do really like. I want to be excited for this. I think I will watch it. And then it got to the match and they started playing the promo and I was just like, no, turns out I don't care. I'll see the gifts. But I actually did see the second half of this match. And the second half of this match, I really enjoyed. Lesnar went for an F5 on Lashley. Lashley's spinning leg knocked the referee out. So Lashley was down, but Lesnar couldn't get the win. Out of nowhere, we get Reigns landing the spear on Lesnar. Goes over to Paul Heyman, who hands him the WWE Championship to pop Brock right in the head, and Lashley gets the win when the referee recovers. So, a couple of things coming out of this match. Number one, Bobby Lashley, WWE Champion. Number two, Paul Heyman turning on Brock Lesnar and back with the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Number three, Brock Lesnar suddenly losing his title and losing his manager to Roman. That's great storytelling. That's how you move forward a big story, and we get to have, Roman versus Brock number 18 at WrestleMania or whatever it is at this point.
Considering that was probably what was supposed to happen in some way, shape, or form at day one, they just sort of like added a little bit of sauce into it by giving him the title and then having Bobby win it. Because maybe they were going to give Bobby that title at day one. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
definitely an interesting way for it to go. And it felt like it, even though obviously I hated the result at day one and was angry about it, it felt like an interesting way for the story to move.
And if you think about it now, when they tell this story in a year or 12 months or 18 months, it's not going to be that Bobby Lashley beat Brock Lesnar by Roman Reigns coming in and hitting him with. It's just going to be Bobby beat Brock Lesnar.
Bobby has wrestled Lesnar once and he won.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's the story that they will tell going forward. That's the whole thing about Roman being involved. That won't ever come up when Bobby is telling the story.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but like, this is big men slapping meat. It was great. It was from the start, because I watched the start, surprisingly to you, mate. It was
I feel like I've seen most of it. I saw 3 GIFs. I think that was about it.
It was 2 guys just beating the ever-loving shit out of each other because they knew they don't have to hold back because of the size of both guys. So there were genuine people, like German suplexes where they did not give a shit where the other guy went, because it was like, he'll be fine. He'll bounce back. It's fine. We'll do this. Cool. Like Bobby went to go for that spear through the barricade and Brock moved
out of the way and straight through the barricade.
I thought it was great, because I think a lot of people expected this just to be a really short match, like Goldberg short.
I did.
Yeah. And the fact that I think they gave us maybe 10, 15 minutes, which is really the best you're going to get out of those two when they're the size that they are, and the offense that they were throwing at each other. I can't fault it. And the finish was exactly what it needed to be for the story going forward. They didn't, unlike a lot of places where they telegraphed the guy coming in, you didn't see Thing coming in until he hit Brock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't see that at all. That was
that spear was
holy
out of
shit.
nowhere.
That's the one good thing. Like as much shit as we all give WWE for the way they film stuff, because the way they film stuff sometimes is absolutely atrocious. The camera cuts, the moving in and out, that bullshit is atrocious. They know how to.
Yeah, we hate to give credit to Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, but they know how to set certain things out to hide what's about to happen until they want you to see what's about to happen. That's the one thing that they do really, really well. And they did it in this match, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I was definitely pleasantly surprised by this match. I expected to not be interested in any of it, and then I showed up and watched some, and I went, "Oh, that was good."
And if the show ended there, you would have been happy.
Mixed tag match.
That's
exactly right.
You know what I mean? It sort of went down off a cliff after this, really.
Yeah, we had the mixed tag match between the Grit couple and the It couple. So Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. Maurice worked more than I was expecting. Maurice was pretty good, but this was, I mean, for what she did. This was, the story here was that Maurice was running away from Beth.
Yes.
And eventually Beth got her hands on Maurice. Edge and Beth Phoenix win. This was a match.
Yeah. I think I even tweeted this out. I was like, you would think that if Maurice knew she had this match coming up, and she would have known for a while, maybe she would have done a little bit of training in the ring. Just a little bit of training in the ring, because she looked terrible when she was in the ring trying to do offense. She looked like she was lost. She did not know what she was supposed to do. I can't remember if she was that bad when she was actually wrestling, but I thought she was shocking.
Yeah, she was.
She was that bad? Okay, then. Well, that's fair enough then.
Yeah.
Beth looked great, but Beth always looks great. She's always prepared. This is the difference in the two people. Maurice is a good manager. I'll say that. She's a good manager. She knows how to get in for those spots. It's just the spots shouldn't be in the ring trying to wrestle. It's that simple. And I think there was something that because I want to pull up this tweet. So you just talk quickly or quiet or whatever, just a little bit more about the match.
The really positive thing I want to give this match is that it was in exactly the right spot on the card. After you have that title match where there's the big swerve, you cannot go directly into the Men's Royal Rumble. You need, as much as I hate to call anything this, it was the piss break match, right? We kind of knew the way it was going to go. It was going to be fine between the ropes if you sat there and watched it. But also, if you didn't, you kind of know what you were going to miss. I think that as far as card structure goes, I was pleasantly surprised by how well structured the show was. I was shocked that Universal Championship match was first, but it felt like it was in the right spot.
Mm-hmm. It was something I tweeted on the Wrestle Radio Australia account while we were watching along. It's like it kind of shows how decent a heel The Miz is when, if you look on his cage match, he hasn't won a match at all during this feud with Edge. Not one match. And they kept wanting to see him still get his ass kicked. Even though he's not won a match yet, he's not, you know what I mean? All the interstitial stuff, he's done a little bit where he got, even then, most of that was him getting shit on in some way, shape, or form by Edge. Like, he's never really had the upper hand that much, aside from Maurice hitting Beth with the brick. In fact, like, I looked at his cage match because I've been doing that lately for some reason, just trying to get more into.
Because you learned how cage match works.
Yeah, that too. I also want to sort of like, because we always talk like wins and loss matters. AEW especially talk about wins and losses matter. So I sort of want to get more into that, so I can go, okay, well then that's why you did this. Fair enough. He hasn't won a match period since April of last year, and people still want to see him get his ass kicked at every possible turn. Now that is a good heel. I don't care what anyone says. If you can lose every match since April and people still see you on a level that they want to see you get your ass kicked, you're doing something right.
Let's restate that. He hasn't won a match in 9 months.
Yeah. Sort of like
and
Private
you
Party
still
getting
want to see him lose.
Like
we'll
Private
get to
Party.
that, Todd. We'll get to that.
Oh, dear.
But moving on, men's Royal Rumble match. This match was short on the surprises we normally see in a Royal Rumble. Couple of interesting ones. There was Shane McMahon was in the Rumble, so that's something. Bad Bunny was in the Rumble. He hit that Bunny Destroyer that we saw at WrestleMania. Once again, I am impressed by the performance of Bad Bunny. He's not going to be at WrestleMania by the sounds of things. He has concerts on both nights. But he still wants to get in the ring and take an F5, so good for him.
Yeah, still want to get in and do the Rumble if he could. So that's cool. It was just very short. It would, like you said, it was very short on surprises. And it also shows what the main roster management think of the NXT guys when you didn't really see any of them in it. Like no Rex Steiner, no.
Absolutely.
No LA. You would have thought.
We got to see Ridge Holland.
Yeah, but he's main card now. So, but it's like you didn't see a Tommaso, you didn't see you saw a Pete Dunne. That I guess is the closest thing you'll see to it. It just shows what they're thinking of, what the level they think those guys are at so far, where they didn't want to try it. Same with the girls. I guess there was no real NXT girls in that either, but they had enough of the nostalgia people to sort of cover it. And I don't want to hear the bullshit like, oh, well, they fired so many people this year, so you couldn't do. They still had more than enough people. And you're going to put those people, you look at that first women's Royal, you look at that first women's Royal Rumble that they had, they still had this many people from the old days. And their roster was stacked then. There's no different. It's really no different.
If you went through in Toxic Attraction, Cora Jade, Raquel Gonzalez, there's plenty of women that could have gone into that Rumble that didn't. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's just the fact that, like, oh, we want to throw heaps of like the like Mickey James's and she was really good. We didn't mention her either during the Rumble. No, that's a good point. She was good. They let her come out with the Impact title, which is another thing that did you ever think you would see a Impact title on WWE TV in 2022? Honest answer, Todd, I didn't think there'd be an Impact World title in 2022. Wow. Because I didn't think there'd be an Impact. Like honestly, that's the thing, is if you look in hindsight, it's bizarre that company still exists, but it's incredibly bizarre that WWE, like, that's the thing. If she had come out with that title, that would have been one thing. The fact that her lower third said Impact Women's Champion on it, it's in the WWE created graphic. Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Well, not surprised, but I did notice that they didn't call her a Knockouts champion. Yep. They called her. They just called her the Women's Champion. But it's still. She was still on there. The thing that shocked me more is the way that whenever they talked about the Shield in the opening match, they kept referring to Mox and not calling him Ambrose. That is still weird. But then also I hear, and I don't know this for a fact, but I hear that was edited out of other like replays and stuff like that. The Mox name was edited out. Very interesting. So I don't know that for a fact. It was just something I heard on, I think it was Post Wrestling I was listening to, their post show. And apparently that's they edit out the Mox part. So
But I don't know.
There you go.
But it is
Very
interesting.
interesting.
But it was a lackluster Rumble. There was so much stuff in there that didn't really make sense. Like the build.
Did we mention that Brock won?
I think everyone knows. Brock won, by the way, guys.
Yeah, Brock won.
Brock won. Like for weeks they'd been teasing the fact that like Dominic had been trying to eliminate his dad, Ray, and in every step Ray just seemed to outsmart him and would eliminate him just when they were messing around, sort of thing. They weren't even in the Rumble at the same time. Where was the payoff there? Give us the Dominic like eliminating his dad from the Rumble. Just give us that. That's the crowd would have popped for it because they'd been teasing it. And the unfortunate thing with Kofi with the slipping.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Kofi went for the classic Kofi spot where he's about to get eliminated, but then does some amazing stunt and doesn't get eliminated. Went to land on the guardrail, didn't make it all the way. Both feet hit the ground and he got eliminated. There's stories coming out that later in the match he was supposed to have spots with Big E, and those couldn't happen because Kofi was now out. But, you know, that's how it goes when you are trying to athletically perform stunts live.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, if you wanted to, this would be a great story for him to go, I don't know if I have it anymore. Maybe I lost the step. I could do that every year. Why couldn't I do that this year? That's a storytelling tool if they wanted to try and capitalize on it that they could do. That doesn't involve a title. You could just involve him getting a big win over somebody. Even if you wanted to build him up to like an IC or a United States title or something like that, or even the tag titles again, who knows? But it's just
now here's a wild idea because it involves actually caring about this match. But what if you have it be the big story going into the Andre Battle Royal?
That's not bad. That is not bad at all.
The whole thing is it comes down to the final few people and Kofi gets thrown out and lands the spot that he missed at the Rumble, gets his groove back and then wins.
Look at you booking, eh? If I need to get myself a little soundboard. I can give you an applause for that because that was good.
Yeah, I deserve that.
That was good. Look.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think the other thing that we should mention about the men's Rumble was Johnny Knoxville, who was not as bad as he could have been.
No.
He did a Shibata forearm on AJ Styles that looked nice and snug.
Yeah. Well, I guess AJ just laid in and will be cool.
Yeah.
And like the way AJ sold it as well just helped him. Because he's like hit there and went, wow, and laced him back, which was great. He also took more offense than I think a lot of celebrities I've ever seen.
Well, something my partner pointed out was like, how much can Johnny Knoxville take that he hasn't taken before filming Jackass?
That's exactly right.
A frog splash? All right.
Yeah, cool.
Speaking of which, my God, that's the best frog splash in the world, isn't it? From Montez Ford?
He definitely
How
gets some
does
height.
he get that
Yeah,
high?
he definitely gets some height. It's still like my favorite my favorite frog splash ever will always be D'Lo Brown's. I love the movement.
A good splash.
I love the movement in it. It was one of those ones that when I started training, I wanted to do one, and I did it a couple of times at training. And Hammer at the time said, "I love it. It looks awesome. I would never take that." I was like, "Well, that's fair enough."
The thing. When you're the shape of you or D'Lo.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So I mean, yeah, that is my favorite frog splash, but I tell you, that is up there. And also the way he sells it after he hits the guy is so much the same way that RVD used to do as well. He used to sell that it hurt himself as well because you would think it would.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You're also making big high speed impact.
Yes. But overall, it was a very lackluster Royal Rumble. There wasn't that many, like the actual Rumble itself, very lackluster. Wasn't that much excitement, if you would say, with no real big spots. There was no real surprise entrance. I mean, there was Shane McMahon, but I mean, is that really something that's going to get you excited? Like, if you want to get me excited, have X-Pac come out. Because the dude's fit. Exactly. He just did a thing at GC Dub So he's in shape. You know he's in shape and he could have done it. Whether or not he's got a contract with GCW, which precludes him to do that. But there's guys like that out there that you could have brought back, and he would have got a massive pop coming out. It's just that little thing I felt was lacking in it. So
yeah,
it was like no excuses. It was a bad Rumble.
It really was. Let's get to some listener comments. Now, I want to shout out, since we've been doing Making Chicken Salad, this is the most comments we've had for a show. So I want to send a massive thank you to everyone who got involved talking about this on the social media. If you want to get into that conversation, by the way, you can follow at Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter and Instagram, and you can go to Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook and get involved in all of these conversations. Over on Facebook, we had a friend of the show, Barbara Bowman, said, why does Rousey get to just walk back in and win? Just as disappointing as Becky Lynch crap. Andrew Elms replied, because they're going to do Rousey versus Charlotte or Becky again. And Barbara said, over it. Andrew also said, pre-COVID booking plans used to determine the winners, predictable outcome. I do think it was a little bit predictable. On the other hand, Thor Jaden Sullivan said, didn't expect that to be the outcome. So, you know, they were both surprise entrants. Sam Eder said, the worst Rumble I've seen in a very long time, very predictable. Before the show started, I told my mate, Brock Lesnar will lose and go into the Rumble at 29 or 30 and win it. It had no star power, it had no storyline, it had absolutely nothing in it. Roman versus Seth was a cracker match, but overall the show was bad. What's the point of firing all these wrestlers if you're struggling to put 30 men together for a Rumble?
Well, they weren't struggling to put 30 men together. I mean, they got 30 men.
Yeah, they got 30 men without, you know, dipping into a bunch of legends or the NXT roster. Like, I think the point was...
Which was the criticism that people were saying about the Women's Rumble. It's like, make your mind up. What do you want? Which way do you want it to go?
Yeah. For me, I want NXT people because it gives it that unpredictability. But yeah, I definitely... Anyway, Corey Reichstein said, possibly the worst Rumble I've watched. The best match was Reigns versus Rollins, and the ending to that was nothing special. Both Rumbles had winners that advanced no one. I would have enjoyed it more if Shane O'Mac won. Chris Irvine said, I enjoyed watching it with my 8-year-old, and he loved it. That alone made up for all of its flaws. Man, to be 8 and watching a Royal Rumble again. Oh, imagine it. Chris Musgrave said, was a great pay-per-view for once, but once Brock lost, I knew WWE would throw him in the Rumble. That's something I want to quickly ask you, Todd. From a booking perspective, how did Brock get into the Rumble if he was already champion? I guess the same way Charlotte did?
Yeah. I'm guessing, yeah. Like, there was somebody that was saying that they were really... they had a thought that maybe Sami Zayn would come out and Brock would beat him up and just take his spot.
Yeah, that would have worked for me.
But then they did that with Becky Lynch the year before, or the couple of years before. Yeah, look, I don't know. Like, it very much does reek of predetermined when you're doing stuff like that. When you've got this guy coming in at 30, but yeah. But then again, Paul Heyman is very good. So, and if Paul was trying to, let's like really go deep in the kayfabe here. If Paul really wanted Brock to believe that he was working for him and not Roman, then of course he gets him the number 30 Rumble spot. Anyway, Robert Pacini said the men's Rumble will go down as one of the worst ones ever. Not as bad as 2015 or 1995, but certainly near that barrel. The lineup made you realize that the roster isn't nearly as fleshed out as it has been in years. From number 3 till number 19, there wasn't any major stars that stood out, and when the last entrant came in, you knew who was going to win. Predictable, boring, and uninspired is what the Rumble will be remembered for. Ricky Davies said the opening was amazing, long-term storytelling at its finest. From the moment the Shield music hit, I was so invested. It was the highlight of the night, despite a censored finish. The rest of the show couldn't compare. Gavin Varley said, my entire family who don't watch wrestling watched the whole thing. I'm realizing that WWE wants the casual fans more than the diehards. 2 UFC known names win the Rumble isn't a fluke. Absolutely agree with Gavin there. That's exactly right. That is the difference. And I think that's what they were trying, WWE were trying to say when they had that statement about AEW with the blood and all of that sort of thing. They're going after a different audience. They're going after a mainstream audience. So why wouldn't you put the 2 names of the most mainstream as the winners of the Rumble, going through to your biggest show, then you promote that.
And the diehards, the Todd Eastmans and the Lachlan Alberts of the world, what are they going to do? Not watch WrestleMania?
No, we're going to complain, but watch it anyway.
Yeah. Kelvin Linton said opening match was awesome. Girls Rumble best one they've had. Wish it came down to Shayna and Ronda though. From there, things went downhill fast till we got the worst Rumble since 2015. Bobby Puglisi said, I don't watch much of the main roster stuff at the moment, as there's a lot more entertaining wrestling out there, but I always tune in for the big pay-per-views. That being said, this was the most underwhelming Rumble in a long time. Rich John Keeling said, too many nostalgia entrants, but guess that's what happens when you release your roster. Robert William O'Brien said, I wasn't impressed with hardly anything except of the women who came back. Loved Ivory and Molly being attacked. Seth Roman fight was good till the finish. And It Couple versus Grit Couple was okay. Other than that, I hated it. And then one last full recap of the show coming from Miss Havoc here. From the top, Rollins versus Reigns started off nicely with the old Shield entrance by Seth and played out well with the full circle chair shot. Women's Rumble was good, mix of former and current workers with some good little rivalries throughout. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing the long list of mothers that stepped into the ring that night. As being a mother myself, I know how very hard it can get.
Oh, he's gone again.
And we've got a full rundown of the show coming on Instagram from Miss Havoc. So let's go with that. Rollins versus Reigns started off nicely with the old Shield entrance by Seth and played out well with the full circle chair shot. Women's Rumble was good, mix of former and current workers with some good little rivalries throughout. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing the long list of mothers that stepped into the ring that night. As being a mother myself, I know how very hard it can be to get in shape post-birth. I'm so about Rousey winning, though. Yeah, I actually saw that there were 10 women who wrestled on the Rumble card who were mothers. Very impressive number there. Awesome to see. Lynch versus Dewdrop was fine. Both good at what they do, but I hadn't personally bought into their story. Lesnar versus Lashley was something I was keen to see. Two monsters finally getting to go head-to-head. Fair match for what it was, and the ending with Reigns' interference was a nice way to keep all three men looking strong. Heyman is a conniving bastard, and I love it. Grit v It Couple was pretty much as expected. I really enjoy both couples' dynamics, and the contrast between the pairs made the overall match work well. Men's Rumble was meh. Very lackluster and mid-card feeling. Knoxville spot was good, but could have pushed out a little, and I would have enjoyed a few other changes, but it is what it is. Brock winning was pretty expected after his match outcome earlier in the night. Yep, a lot of shared feelings there from Miss Havoc with what we've said throughout the show. Yeah, I definitely think that this is a show where there's some people with some different opinions. A couple of them are, you know, what was the finish of the opening match? Was it good or bad?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why did the Rumbles suck is contentious for a lot of people. But really, it feels like everyone's in agreement. The opening match was good, and then it went downhill over the course of the show, and it's not going to be remembered well.
No, I think it went downhill after the Brock and Thing match.
Yeah, the mixed tag into the Rumble was
mixed tag into the Rumble was like it was poo. Let's put it that way. Yeah. It was poo.
And look, I think even the matches that were good, I was maybe a bit down on, because as soon as you have the worst woman in the world, the baddest woman on the planet, winning the Royal Rumble, then that just sets me in a mood to, you know, not be happy with the rest of the show. Anyway, on that down note, we're going to come back with a whole nother show. That's right. We've got AEW Beach Blast to cover. So while we're taking a break, make sure you hit up those socials, Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter and Instagram, Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. Let us know what you think of whatever shows are happening. Let us know what you want to see and what you want us to talk about. And we'll be back right after this.
This is the Bro Day Pod. I think like a crocodile has like the bite force and and like the rip and tear, but I feel like a shark and way too much teeth, man. Way too many teeth. Too much teeth. Too many teeth. Like just tear flesh out of it. If it's a great white as well, I feel like a shark's got it.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
If I'm in there, I could choke out a shark.
Oh my god, dude. What is this?
You turn into
Is that all this podcast is? This podcast is just to prove, just for you to convince the world that you can fight every animal. Oh, I'm so heated now.
Shut up. It's a triple threat.
Who's taking the pin? If it's a triple threat?
It's a triple threat. I'll be the crocodile first. And then I'm coming for
It's an elimination. You're taking them both out. No, bro. This came out of nowhere. That came out of nowhere. That's it. At any point, all you want to do is prove you can fight animals. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one.
Okay.
Follow Bro Day No Plan B podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Making Chicken Salad. You may notice a change in clothes here as we are on day 2 of our record of this episode. This is the 3rd attempt to record this episode. Man, Australian internet is just the best, isn't it? So we need to talk about a few things, but now that we are a day removed from the Rumble, did you have a question for me, Todd?
Well, it's almost like we did this before.
It's almost like we just did this.
There are some some websites out there reporting that the original plan for the Rumble was for Matt Riddle to win it. So I was just wondering what you think of them putting Matt Riddle into that spot.
Look, I think if you're a company like WWE, Matt Riddle is a guy that you kind of want to be the face of your promotion. I don't like the idea of having a tag champ winning the Rumble. I don't like the idea of a champ winning the Rumble.
Well, he's not the tag champ. He's not the tag champ anymore. Remember, they lost the belts to Otis and Gable.
Oh, yeah. That did happen, didn't it?
Yeah, they did.
And then they had a spelling bee?
Yeah,
Man,
and then
WWE does stuff.
Today they had a scooter race. We got 3 hours, brother. They got 3 hours.
I guess I'm fine with it then. Like, I'm not the biggest Riddle fan in the world, but he's a good-looking boy. He can go in the ring. He's got a gimmick that a lot of people are into. I see no reason he shouldn't be winning Rumbles and main eventing Mania. I would have rathered it to Brock. I can tell you that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know what the natural story would have been there. Would it have been Riddle Lashley? Would it be Riddle Roman? Would it be Riddle Brock? I guess if you go Brock, then there's a UFC story there.
Well, also the thing is, because now they've announced that the Elimination Chamber for the Saudi pay-per-view is for
Lashley's title.
Yeah,
Brock's going to be in it.
Yeah, Lashley will be defending it in that Elimination Chamber. So who knows who comes out of that with the win?
Yeah, it's it feels like it could still be title versus title.
And that was the idea that Lashley actually floated today on Raw. He said, "I'm going to win the title at Elimination Chamber, and I'm going to go title for title versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania." So he's already said that it's going to be him and Roman at WrestleMania, but he wants to win the other title to make it title versus title. If that happens and they do just amalgamate both titles, that's not a bad thing so much, I don't think.
I don't think it is, but at the same time, I don't trust WWE to put together a story that doesn't include a title, because apparently you need to have tag championships and a spelling bee and a scooter race in order to have a story. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. We saw a couple of great stories at the Royal Rumble, but it feels exceptional when something like Sonya Deville and Naomi happens.
Yeah.
It feels like, wow, they're telling a story. So the idea that they would have one less tool to force their hand into telling stories, I don't know.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I don't love two belts.
Yeah, the thing, like, I don't love two belts so much, but I can almost see guys like Lashley, McIntyre pretty much already has, getting sort of lost in that shuffle, because at the moment, aside from like Lesnar, of course, the only regular, well, I suppose you could almost call Lesnar a regular now because he's been there pretty much every week for the last, I don't know how long.
I wouldn't go that far, Todd.
But yeah, all like at the moment, he's been there for
He's been there a lot recently.
like solidly. Like Roman is the only one you couldn't really see anyone else with that title at the moment, but Roman. Like there's no one that stands out. Like Lashley, even though Lashley is a monster, he's an amazing worker. I still don't see him on that level at the moment.
In saying that, how nice is it that Roman has found his element? Because he has had that title for over a year. If you had told me in 2015 Roman's going to be champion for over a year and you're going to love every second of it, there's no way I would have believed it.
Yeah.
But man, it is such a good title run.
Well, let's stop talking about this because we just brought it up because it was new news and we rolled over into another day of taping, which we never normally do. Let's talk about AEW Beach Blast, mate.
Yeah, let's run through the results first of all. So the TNT Championship Unification Ladder Match, not really unification. It was a title and an interim title getting unified into itself. But Sammy Guevara defeated Cody Rhodes for the championship. This match got the full 5 from Dave Meltzer and involved Sammy doing an absolutely ridiculous cutter off a ladder. Team Taz had a message from us from the snowy beach in Cleveland that absolutely hideous cold for their Beach Blast event. Delightful. Wardlow won a handicap match against Elijah Dean and James Alexander. We had 6-man tag action with Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz as the Inner Circle, defeating Daniel Garcia and Team 2.0. We've set Hangman Page and Lance Archer to do battle in a Texas death match in 2 weeks. Jurassic Express and Private Party is going to be on Rampage. CM Punk and MJF is going to be next week in Chicago. Pinnacle had a beatdown where MJF ended up sitting cross-legged on top of Punk. The Acclaimed had a message for John Moxley. Jade Cargill chose her next opponent for the TBS Women's title. It's going to be Julia Hart. I'm so excited that they're using their great women's roster. Legit Layla Hirsch defeated Red Velvet. The House of Black had a message for Pac and Death Triangle, which House of Black and Death Triangle, man, that's me all over. Britt Baker taunted the Cleveland Browns, gloated over her accomplishments, and we finished with an unsanctioned lights out match between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. Freshly squeezed, got the win. And the moment that everyone's talking about is when Adam Cole grabbed a chair from under the ring, and with it came Danhausen. And Danhausen pointed menacingly at Adam Cole and then left, and now AEW's stuck with him.
Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that.
No, and I'm being silly because I am a noted Fanhausen. We know that I love the guy. I love a bit of silly comedy wrestling in with the serious stuff, right? There's got to be a balance. There's been a lot of differing opinions on this. A lot of people talking about how Danhausen does not have good matches. A lot of people talking about how Danhausen is only ever going to be on Dark. So it seems like nobody's happy. Danhausen fans think he's not going to get a fair shake. People who hate Danhausen don't like that he's signed. I think that there's a lot of potential here. I think that having Danhausen on being the Elite is going to be a gift. Like, he is made for that format. If you're not following, he already commissioned a new theme song for his friends Billy Arse and the Arse Boys, which I'm sure they will enter to on Dark or, Elevation on one show or another. But Danhausen just has this vibe that I don't care if he has a great match. If he does something interesting, I'm going to be engrossed. If he is making me smile while watching wrestling, I'm taking that as a win, whether he's putting on a 4.5-star match or not. What do you think of Danhausen in AEW, Todd?
Look, we talked about this when it first happened because it's just, I don't know where he fits because they already have that guy in Orange Cassidy and they debuted him during his match. Do you know what I mean? They already have that sort of, not sort of character, but sort of like the slow kicking and the all of that sort of stuff. They sort of already have that. I wasn't a fan of the way
the comedy gimmick.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the way they debuted him. I mean, this was supposed to be a serious, lights out, no DQ, we're going to beat the shit out of each other match. And they sprinkled that comedy in there. It didn't like, there could have been a lot of other ways you could have brought him in. It didn't have to be during something that's supposed, well, it's that was an angle ender. That match was an angle ender. So that was my only bugbear with that. I made the joke to you, and I wanted to tweet it, but I never did. I was like, the only difference is that I'll just be watching him on a different YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Because that's basically, and like you said, like I noticed something that you said, like he's going to be a gift for being the elite. How much money does being the elite generate for AEW?
A great question that's difficult to quantify, but it's not much.
No, if anything at all, because that'd be the Young Bucks property.
The Young Bucks is AEW,
but not to their bottom line.
Not.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know it doesn't really do anything for their company? Like it's a bit of a side promotion. But I mean, I'll just look up quickly about how many people actually watch. I know it's a fair few, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, look, it's not the smallest number in the world, but I definitely think that, like obviously that's not going to be the only thing that Danhausen does, but I think that in a company like AEW, something like being the elite does build matches. It does get people excited. And if you've got Danhausen on being the elite, maybe that gets more eyes on being the elite and you get to hype a match more.
But maybe. See, I just looked there and it's like 117,000 downloads in the first day for being the elite. Now, those people were pretty much probably already going to watch Dynamite. So you're not really dragging any more people. So it's not really like my point of it is that it's not earning any more money for the company. I would love to know what their profit loss is, just as an interest point, because you'll never hear anything of it because they don't have to announce any of it, because that's the beauty of not being a publicly traded company. You don't have to announce how much money you've lost or how much money you've made. So
that's right.
As for the other stuff, I'll quickly run through it. I don't understand why they bothered to take the belt off Sammy in the first place if they were just going to give it back to him.
It makes no sense.
In 3 weeks. Like, it was a good match, don't get me wrong. It was a good match. Some amazing high spots on it. Some, like I know there's a lot of people talking about referees holding ladders so they could do the spots. I don't really care that much about that. Let them do it. If it's going to make it safer for them to do this stuff, as crazy and as
part of
silly
a
as I think it
referee's
is,
job is to be responsible for the safety of the athletes in the match.
Yeah.
That's why referees in sport send people off when they get injured. It's part of a referee's job.
But yeah, I don't think that's a big deal at all. Let them do their stuff because they want to do these some absolute crazy spots for a Wednesday. But that's all I'll keep saying. I know it's the whole new way of doing things, and I just think it's different. Like they're doing this thing where they're burning through all of these matches on TV, and that's great because their ratings have improved. They're up over the mill now, which is great for them. But it's like, how do you drive people towards pay-per-views when you're constantly doing this sort of stuff? Like, I'm not having a dig. I'm just saying, how do you do that when you're constantly doing Punk and MJF? They should have just kept milking that until a pay-per-view. That's a pay-per-view match. That is a match that people will pay a lot of money to see. And that's what you have to, like, for the AEW ones, you have to pay, like down here in Australia, it's $30 on top of, and they just had a price rise for the AEW channel. So it's like $10 a month. And then, so it's basically the same as the WWE network. And
yet on free TV, we've got a tag team title match on Rampage. We've got Punk MJF in Chicago, and we've got Hangman and Archer in a Texas death match.
And that's another thing too. The Texas death match. Why are they already going to a stip match? First match between the two guys. Why are they already going to a stip match? Now I get it. That's his favored match, and maybe people are like, "Oh, he wasn't going to win anyway." So this gives it the illusion that he might have the chance. No, everybody knows he's not going to win regardless. So just do a normal match and keep that under your sleeve. That makes no sense.
Look, if you're desperate to, I think maybe they want to have Paige have an impressive victory, right? They want to have a big violent gimmick match that Page comes out on top because he's shown that he can do the technical win. Now he needs to do the mud show win. But I think, honestly, if you want to do it that way, have Archer beat the absolute shit out of him in a regular match, not stop at the end of it, start choking him out with a bull rope or whatever, and then Page goes, look, I kept my title, but I'm not happy with it. I want to beat you, and I want to prove that I can take that punishment and still come back. Texas Death Match. You know, it's not the first match.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I am not in any way like shitting on this stuff because like this show was good. It was a good show. Like even Red Velvet and Hirsch was passable. It wasn't a bad match. The handicap match was what it was. Those matches are just what they are for Wardlow.
But that's the thing, right? It's a Wednesday show.
Yeah.
So there's just going to be a Wardlow winning a handicap match.
That's
even
right.
though this is Beach Blast.
Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz thing. I don't know where this is leading because it's like both teams are trying, both people like Jericho and Santana Ortiz seem to like trying to out heel each other. It looks like on this breakup, whatever it is. So I don't know where that's going. I don't know. That's weird. Daniel Garcia yet again getting on to another TV show and this past
a big win for him.
Yeah, this past weekend there's one bowler which we'll probably see in about 7-8 months.
That's right.
On streaming. So yeah, this dude, I don't know what he's got. Like he's a good enough wrestler. I don't know if I see him as the future the way that apparently all of independent wrestling seems to see him.
I don't get it.
So yeah, a lot of good things, a lot of things. The promo between Punk and MJF, honestly, I kind of switched off until the beatdown.
They've been doing it for so long. It's the same.
It's the same sort of promo. Let's bring up a little something a little shaky. Let's meet T's going to WWE. Then we'll do something else, and then bang, we'll do their finish. It's, you know what I mean? It's just not. Yeah, that's, I don't know. Jade Cargill, Julia Hart. I mean, I watched that match, and I was like, that should have been shown with a green lens. That's how that match was. It was very green, very, very green. Yeah. And yet again, it was just, I don't know why they keep doing stuff like having Acclaimed going after singles guys and then just losing all the time. They could be a good tag team. They could be a good, like they've got so many good tag teams that they're just not using properly. And it's just that's frustrating.
Just have a great tag division.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, everything like I said, it was a good match. Even the Cassidy Cole match was a really good match. Again, they went with the stunt at the end, which was very visible when the camera goes in close and you can see what that board was that they fell through. Pull back, like have the camera pull back. They don't need to be right in there. Give away the secrets. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. You finally had a stunt that worked. Don't expose it.
And like we just talked about, the way WWE does too much of the fancy camera work to avoid those little things.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find the middle ground. You can't be zooming in on the bits that the fans should not be seeing up close.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Look, it was a really good show. It was a really good show. Like, great start, because they always do that. Really great start. Like, sort of dips a little bit in the middle and comes back up. Really good finish. That's basically what Dynamite is.
It was better than Raw, right?
It's
like,
exactly
that's
right.
what it's competing with.
Yeah, well, it's not competing with it because it's not on the same night.
No, but it's in that's the space that it occupies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless yeah, I guess. So I saw something on Twitter today that just made me laugh because Rampage pulled a really decent number this week, and of course the AEW diehards coming out saying, "Oh, if they
compare it to NXT,
smashed NXT." Like, I don't know how you can compare those two shows now at all.
No.
And yeah, that's why I was just like, "Oh, really?" I don't guess. Anyway, look, it was a good show. A lot of good stuff coming forward. Again, I want to see Punk and MJF, but I don't know what they plan to do in this thing. If this is just going to be the one and done blow off, or if they're going to somehow do something a little hinky to lead forward to a pay-per-view. And I hope they do, because that deserves to be a pay-per-view match. These two guys, what they've done over the last couple of, like, however long it's been going, that deserves to go through to a pay-per-view. That shouldn't be just a Wednesday night blow off. You know what I mean? That should be
definitely.
Yeah. And just like, it's the start of the year, so I know they get to do all this hinky stuff with, I said hinky a lot all of a sudden. They get to do all this weird stuff with their ranking system, but you've legitimately got two things in title matches coming up. Like Lance Archer literally just came back from an injury, so he would have had no matches to be a number one contender at all. Well,
no,
unless they've
just got
obviously, they've obviously just put him on dark and given him some beat downs on guys. That's like, I put the tweet up this week about Private Party being the number one contenders, when really all they did was had 2 tag team matches with jobbers on Dark and Elevation. And I think, this is off the top of my head, so don't quote me on this. The last time they won a match that was on a pay-per-view, a Dynamite, or a Rampage, so that's their 3 major things, was the All Out 2020 pre-show against the Dark Order. That was the last time.
Yep.
That was the last time they'd won a tag team match, like as Private Party, the tag team. So, like, when they do stuff like that and they do they just load up the challenges on thing, it's a little bit, it sort of, it makes fun of the whole we're doing the rankings thing, in my opinion. They could have easily slid in a decent tag team for them to beat on a Rampage or on a, do you know what I mean? Just something to establish.
If wins and
them.
Losses matter, if that's the story you're telling us.
Yeah, something to establish them, because, like, at the moment, the number one contender should be Adam Cole, not Lance Archer, because he's had more matches and had more wins. That's the whole reason they did this unsanctioned match, because it doesn't count towards their record.
Yep.
So he could take the L and it didn't count towards their rankings, because I guess that's what the program is going to be going into the pay-per-view. Will be Adam Cole and yeah. But yeah, otherwise, it's a good show. They're on a good roll. Like, people think, like I said, people think that I hate AEW and I want them to, I don't. I want them to get better. And I like the fact that now they're starting to draw over 1 million each week. Let's hope they keep this up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk quickly about Bowler, because we mentioned that PWG's Battle of Los Angeles is in the books. We will see it when we see it. We mentioned Daniel Garcia coming out as the winner, but a maybe bigger story coming out of the event is an injury that took place. So there was a match between Buddy Matthews, formerly Buddy Murphy of WWE, and Lio Rush. Before the match, Buddy was cutting a promo, had a drink thrown at him, clocked him right on. It was pretty impressive throw, if I'm being honest. And that may have led to, it seemed like when Leo took a curb stomp from Buddy, that there was a dislocation to his left shoulder. He was replaced in the next match by Speedball Mike Bailey, who lost to Daniel Garcia. So there's going to be, Leo Rush tweeted that there'll be an MRI in 2 to 3 weeks just to check that there's no severe ligament damage or tears. But that's the big story coming out of there, is that injury to Leo Rush. And
he'd also just signed a contract with Universal Music. So congratulations to him on that. So at least he's got something to do while he's rehabbing.
Like, it's wild that there was another story before this podcast about Leo Rush doing something.
Yeah.
That he has had 2 things happen like that back to back. Yeah, wild. Anyway, while
the some of the stuff that I've seen, like gifs coming out of Bowler, look unbelievable. And I don't know, have you watched at all the GCW pay-per-view?
I did, and I was saving it for our last segment.
Oh, okay. I'll let it go then.
So you know what? I think we've covered just about everything there. Do we want to get to our chicken shit and chicken salad of the week, Todd?
We can do that, mate. We can definitely do that.
Fantastic. So, look, I'll fire off with my chicken shit. And really, obviously it's hard to go past, having the Rumble winners that I specifically said, this is what WWE would do that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really difficult to not just go with exactly that. But I really do dislike when the Rumble winner immediately goes in to challenge for a title before WrestleMania. I know that they're building to title versus title, but the important thing of the Rumble is that you win a shot at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people are fighting for. But apparently you can get a title shot before WrestleMania if you're Austin Theory and you beat Kevin Owens in a match. So what's the benefit of winning the most grueling match on WWE's calendar? Like, you have to outlast 29 other men to get a title shot, or you can win a one-on-one match and have to outlast 5 other men. Like,
Well, it's because, like, I understand where you're coming from, but it is like the Rumble winner gets to pick either champion. So he did. He picked like the Rumble match regardless, the WrestleMania match regardless on who wins the Elimination Chamber is Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. So why wouldn't he say, well, I've already got this title shot in the bank. I'm going to go in for this one. And because being that he's an ex-champion, he has a rematch clause. So he can do that. I don't see any flaw in that whatsoever, to be honest with you, because that's something that as someone
if I'm a wrestler, right? Let's say that I'm on SmackDown, right? Yep. Do I bother training for the Rumble where I know that there's going to be 29 other people that I've got to compete with? It's a style of match that I'm not used to because you don't have a Rumble every day. It comes around, twice a year if you include the Andre Memorial. And if I manage to draw a good number, because if I draw number 4, I'm screwed, right? If I get lucky enough and draw a good number, then I'll have a chance at outlasting all these other people to win the match. Or I can go lobby Sonya Deville, hey, get me into the Elimination Chamber. I can win a one-on-one match, and then I'm in with a shot at the title.
Yeah, but you'd have to be on Raw.
Sorry. I'd lobby...
Technicalities. Technicalities.
Thanks, Todd.
That's all right, mate.
Yeah, but it frustrates me that whoever wins the Elimination Chamber gets to have a title match on WrestleMania.
Yeah, but they don't go in straight away. They had to qualify for those Elimination Chamber matches.
I know.
Like AJ had to take on Ray. I think Austin Theory was against Kevin. I nearly said Kevin Steen.
I think
Kevin Owens.
what I'm saying is
they
my
didn't
chicken
just go,
shit
look,
here.
They're in.
No,
they're
I
in,
get
they're
it.
in.
But what I'm saying is my chicken shit is I want the Rumble to be important.
Mm-hmm.
And the booking has made the Rumble feel totally unimportant to what is happening in the world of WWE. Because I think that if they did not have the Rumble and you said they're going to do Brock Roman at WrestleMania, that would make perfect storyline sense. So what was the point of the Rumble?
Yeah. No, I kind of, yeah. But it's the Rumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that doesn't matter.
I think that's why I'm upset, right? I love the Rumble. I really want the Rumble to matter. I want to get all excited when someone like Shinsuke wins the Rumble because that was awesome. That was such a moment. We got so excited for what was going to happen at WrestleMania. Maybe the payoff wasn't there, but the Rumble was full of energy. Edge coming back at the Rumble, Edge going wire to wire. It feels great. This does not spark joy.
Fair enough. Yeah.
What's your chicken shit, Todd?
I have 2. One is the whole thing with Cody and Sammy. Well, I don't understand what the point was of having him, the interim title thing. Especially if it was only ever going to be like a 2-week thing. I just don't understand the point of that. If they want to do a ladder match, do a ladder match. If they wanted to just hold it off, hold it off. If they wanted to make that match between, I can't remember who it was Dustin and a number 1 contender match. I know that you were supposed to have your title shot, but you've got to do this. I'm sorry. And made it him and Scorpio instead of being Dustin. There were so many other things they could have done aside from just a silly, in my opinion, a silly, here's an interim champion for 2 weeks. What's the sense in that? Could you imagine if they did that in UFC? Like, he can't defend it this week, but we're going to have he's injured. He can't defend it this week. He'll be able to defend it in 2 weeks, but we're going to make this guy an interim champ. They wouldn't do that. It's if he was out for an extended period of time, say 3 to 6 months, he's going to be out. So we need an interim champion in the interim. Interim doesn't mean 2 weeks. That to me, that was a little, I don't understand why they did that. And especially, why did they do it if he was just going to win? I don't understand why he gave the belt up if he was just going to win it back in 2 weeks anyway. That made no sense to me. My second chicken shit is just PWG, get your shit together. Like, if I can, and this is just me and my shitty editing skills, if I can turn around a show in a week and have it up on YouTube for people to watch, I'm sure you guys could do it too. Not in God knows how many months where people are pretty much already over it. Then they go, oh yeah, I remember that happened. Like, people are clamoring to see it. They want to see this thing. Show the thing, please.
Why isn't it streaming? It makes no sense for it not to be streaming.
Because Super Dragon still thinks it's 2005.
Yep. Anyway, let's get more positive.
Yes.
Chicken salad for the week. You know what? I'll let you take it off because you might steal mine.
Okay. No, I probably won't. Because my chicken salad is another PWG thing. Because we saw in PWG in the opening round, Buddy Matthews against
Jonah.
2 Aussies tearing it up. And I want to see that match. I want to see. This is why I'm so mad about. I know it's going to be ages for that. And just what it seems like the heel work Buddy Matthews has done over this weekend. Because to have people throw shit at you in an indie show where they've seen everything and they don't really bite on anything, that's pretty good. That's
especially
Cardona.
When your whole thing was, hey, WWE treated me badly. I'm actually a really good, fast, high-flying wrestler, and they wouldn't let me show it off. That
and they
you
still
should have indie fans chomping at the bit to love you.
Yeah, and they still hate you. I mean, like I said, that's Cardona level hate, that shit. And yeah, I guess another one would be the stuff with him and what's his name? Probably going to be released by AEW. Well, not released, but let contract. Joey
Leo Rush.
Janela. No, Joey Janela. Him and Cardona are at
Do you want me to start listing off the people who are going to be released by AEW?
No, we're not. No, they're not being released. They're just not being renewed.
The contract will end. That's right.
That's right. Let's just make that a point. Not released, just not renewed. They don't even wish you the best on your future endeavors. You're done.
No, that's right.
Your contract's done. Whatever happens to you, happens to you.
You were actually a bad wrestler the whole time.
Yeah, I thought that. That's why I didn't renew you.
Yeah.
But that's only if you say something in press about me. Then you're a bad wrestler.
Yeah. Oh boy. It's always sad when we get to do an episode and Khan didn't say something completely insipid.
No, yeah. Give it time.
Yeah, that's right. There'll be 3 for next week, I'm sure. Anyway, I've got 3 chicken salads really that I'm going to put up.
So much salad.
Oh, it's beautiful. Look, I'm not the biggest Will Ospreay fan in the world, but the dude can wrestle, right? And I kept saying that, Brian Cage was right when he was saying that he's not being used to his fullest extent on AEW. So if you go watch Warrior Wrestling, which has one of the coolest sets I've ever seen, because I got these really bizarre, tiered flooring for the audience where it's all looking straight down on the ring.
So it's like a Coliseum setup, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Nice.
And Ospreay and Cage put on a banger. Cage, seeing Ospreay kick out of the drill claw when it gets nailed at 2.999, seeing Ospreay actually lift Cage up to hit that. It's indie wrestling. And it's exactly what you expect when I say it's Ospreay and Brian Cage, but it's a damn fine match. So I want to get that one out there. but then also, man, the world on GCW was a killer show, wasn't it? Like that had some good. It had some silly stuff.
Yeah.
But Leo Rush and Blake Christian, great match.
Great match. I'm very up in the air of it, to be honest with you, because I've been saying for months, I guess I was hyped for this show. I was really waiting for this show, and I watched the pre-show, and then they did that Battle Royal or whatever. No, it wasn't even Battle Royal. I think it was like a 6-man or something, where they did every move under the sun in the pre-show. And I was to the point where like, oh, do I really need to watch the rest of the show? Like these dudes just defied gravity for 20 minutes. What is
Todd,
Jeff
the other
Jarrett
chicken salad that I was going to say?
You were going to say
there was a 6-man tag. So we know I like my lucha shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arez, Demonic Flamita, Gringo Loco,
yes,
and ASF Bandito Laredo Kid. Damn! They can move, can't they? Wow! Wowza! Like that's what I need. More of that in my. I can't believe that you were like, I'm up in the air on it because they did this on the pre-show. That's what I'm there for, Todd.
Yes, but like, you kill the crowd. That's not what your job is. Your job's to set the table for the show. When you do all this shit in the open, what the fuck is Homicide and John Moxley going to do that gets a crowd up like that? And that's what, like, if you listen to that crowd wasn't the loudest crowd through that show, which was surprising. Right. And they were sort of hamstrung because the New York State Athletic Commission came in and said, none of this deathmatch shit. We don't do that here. So they couldn't do their ordinary thing. And they had pay-per-view problems with their timing. So the main event only went for 6 minutes, which again was a bit of a That's why I'm saying I'm up in the
Who possibly was going to win that match, Todd?
Yeah. Well,
how could you predict what was going to? See, I don't mind that at all. A 6-minute main event, if I know exactly which way it's going to go, is fine by me. There were a lot of problems. In fact, when they announced over the loudspeaker, you guys have got to go home now.
Yeah.
Like that's, and again, like going into this 6-man tag, the announcer started calling the wrong team, right? Yeah. Like it was a little bit of a clusterfuck of a show, but that's because it's GCW. It's not, in football stadiums with the lights on bright. This is,
No, but that was Hammerstein Ballroom. That was their chance. That was their big, like, here we are, guys. And even though, like, they sort of got hamstrung because whoever was in the Hammerstein Ballroom fucked it up with the painting. I don't know why they've changed that painting scheme, because that was an iconic looking arena. And for a while there, I was like, is this actual Hammerstein? Because they'd repainted all the stands in that. I found, and this is just, maybe it's recency biased, I'm not sure. I found the crowd at PWG a lot more loud, a lot more engaging on a lot more stuff than what I saw during that GCW show. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jarrett was good, like with Effie, that was a good little match there. Cardona and Joey Janela, really good. Like, is that exactly what Cardona wanted? He wanted so much ECW throwback stuff, so much, like, even the back of his shirt saying "fuck Mick Foley." I mean, come on. And did the Sandman entry.
Superb.
It's so good. So good. And it's led to, on February the 25th now, it'll be Joey Janela and X-Pac against the major players, which is Brian and Zach. So we're going to get another good match because I want to see X-Pac can go. That's why I said earlier in the show yesterday,
he can go.
He should have been in that Rumble because the dude can go still. He's still in good shape. He's still young. Well, not young, but relatively young compared to a lot of people that are out there still doing their stuff.
But no, you are right. The Hammerstein Ballroom is well known for its very professional and well-run shows. So
that was it. That was, in my opinion, that was their shot to say, we are on the big stage. That was their shot to go, we are the new, not so much the new ECW, we are the third best promotion in the country now.
If they got it right, I wouldn't love it as much.
Would you though?
Like, I know that's a crazy thing to say, right? But it's because if I go and watch GCW, I'm watching something that not everyone is watching that isn't perfect. It's the little engine that could. That's what ECW was back in the day, and that's why we loved it. It's what the glory years of NXT were, because at the time it felt like no one was watching it. And you had this little undiscovered gem that wasn't all the way polished, but it was fun and enjoyable, and you loved it. And that's what I'm getting from GCW at the moment.
Yeah, but like even still, when ECW went to pay-per-view, that sort of stuff didn't happen. You know what I mean? They were really close to running out on time in that first pay-per-view, Barely Legal, with Terry Funk, but they still made their normal match time and still, you know what I mean? That stuff wasn't, it's because they go out.
That's true. I guess if Abdullah's more professional than you are, there's a problem.
But this is what I'm saying. This is like, it's just, there's these little things that they've got to get down, and that's all.
I'll pay that criticism, absolutely. But yeah, for me, I had a really good time watching this GCW show, especially that 6-man tag.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant.
Well, actually, was it on the pre-show? Because if it was on the pre-show, because I can't remember off the top of my head, it was on the pre-show. That is for free on YouTube.
I will have to, I can't remember exactly.
Because they had
if it is for free on YouTube.
They had a massive like Royal Rumble type thing beforehand, which really burnt me out to start with. I'm just like, I felt like that went for a year and a half. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And then I think that's just all experience. Like they're used to running stuff where they don't really have to have a time limit, because Fight will give them the extra time, or Fight will just do what they want them to do, sort of thing. And it's like they don't have the pay-per-view constraints. You don't have like they're not normally in New York, so they can go with the light tubes and the stuff that they're known for. And yeah, it's just all this stuff that maybe they didn't take into account before they really got the
but also Jeff Jarrett and Effie wrestled, right?
Yeah,
it's fun. I like it.
I'm not, look, I didn't say it was bad, did I? I didn't say I hated it.
No, you didn't. You did.
Like I said,
but I like pushing your buttons, Todd. So with that, I'll tell you. Yeah. No, look, I like pushing Todd's buttons. If you like pushing buttons, there's a follow button that you need to push. It's on the socials of Wrestle Radio Australia. You can find it at Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter and Instagram, Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. Damn, I'm getting smooth with those transitions. If you're not following us on Wrestle Radio Australia, go do it. Whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts, hit subscribe. It does help us out. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a review, give us 5 stars. It really helps us get to more people. Makes a big difference. If you're looking for merch, we've got it over on Redbubble. Search for Wrestle Radio Australia and you'll find it. Proceeds don't go to us. They go to 2 amazing charities here in Australia, which promote men's mental health. That is Beyond Blue and Gotcha for Life. So we can support those. If you aren't following Wrestle Radio Australia, by the way, there was an awesome 2-part interview with Chris Fresh over on the main show that Todd did. You could tell how much fun they were having talking most of the time because of the fact that it needed to be a 2-part episode. Yeah. So go and catch that if you haven't already.
When I went to edit it, I realized it was 2 hours. I'm like, I might just break this up.
So with that, anything else that you need to mention for us, Todd?
That's it at the moment. I'm not too sure when the next when the next Wrestle Radio will come out. I'm trying to think of who I want to talk to. If I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, trying to think of who I'm going to talk to. So I'm not too sure when the next one's going to be out. But as soon as I know, I guess I'll let you guys know. But until then, we're going to keep doing these as much as possible. I'm going to try and find a show that we can review coming out soon. Maybe the QWA show. I'm not too sure. So we'll see.
That we just like watching wrestling. That's what we're here for. So we also want to say, hey, go out and catch some local wrestling. You know, if you can find something that's running in your area, go see it. If you can't, jump onto YouTube, jump onto Fight, find some local Australian wrestling. If you need to go back and watch PWA, hey, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah, you've had worse times.
yeah, support local wrestling. There's plenty of good stuff out there. So with that,
also
that's been
before we go, I just want another thank you to everyone who commented on the Facebook post about the Royal Rumble with your comments and your reviews about that. That's what we've wanted from day one. We want you guys, we want your input as well, so we can read them out here on the show and you guys get your point across. So it's not just me and Lockie talking about stuff and having my normal angry old man wrestling views and his young man angsty. I don't know.
What's Todd gonna say here?
This left-winging bastard. No. I don't know why when I'm left-leaning.
No, that I'll take that criticism, I guess. You know what? If you want to talk shit with us, follow me on Twitter at Lachlan Albert. Follow Todd on Twitter at Beast Eastman. You know, while you're following people, also go to Instagram. Follow Steve at Going Over Wrestling. Big shout out to Steve, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, so with that, this has been Making Chicken Salad. That's been Todd Eastman. I've been Lachlan Albert. Have a good one.
Chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is as people do.